This piece is called Lookout. It's a big chunk of redwood on a steel frame. What you see is what you get.
What did you start off with? What inspired this?
What's up, internet world? This is Defnu. Welcome to my reaction series. This is episode 1. I don't have anything set up. This is not scripted. Very unprofessional. Look at the suit jacket I got on. Anyhow, we're gonna watch some things I guess I've watched in my history, so I can have a better reaction or more feedback for you. So this is one of the
It's like 7 years. Is that similar here?
more recent
Well, if you consider my own timeline, I've been here 4 years. I
something
intend to
I've
keep
been
it here,
watching.
as
This
long as
part
I'm
right
here.
here I haven't finished.
And from people I know, I don't know anyone who's stopped going.
Okay, so what is your thoughts on obedience? Should Christian women obey their husbands? Yes, no, why or why not?
I believe that
So I'm gonna stop this here for a second. If you don't know who this is Pearl. I don't know about her politics. I don't know too much about her history. I've only watched her recently, and that's what I'm basing my thoughts off of. Okay, I don't really know too much of her history. I only know she's a vocal woman. That's as much as I could say. She does ask this question quite often, which I feel is interesting, given that she does this in America. And it's just very interesting that we don't see this being done more by other folks on the internet world. Probably be very offensive to the church side of things, but I think this could only help bring up the attendance numbers in these places. You know, churches need attention, I think, and I always say on my channel, if you have some free time to go to a museum or a park and you're kind of tired of it all, go check out a local temple or synagogue or church. And here we are. Let's go ahead and watch what this lady has to say about this question. And let's see how Pearl responds to this lady's response.
they should obey, but it has to do with everyone's submission to Christ, because most men they want obedience and certain qualities, but out of pride and out of fear. And it is mainly about you serving God and serving the other, not fulfilling your own needs to seem as anything. Most of these matters are private. Most of these matters are between God and the individual, and between God and the individuals who join that covenant with him. But as far as obeying,
I'd have to say a lot of the responses on this particular upload are pretty redundant, especially by this young woman to Pearl's right. And you would think that responses are supposed to be redundant, given that morality should not be flexible. We should already know what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. So it could come out redundant. I just feel like because we all know that as adults, especially if you're practicing your religion, I feel like you should deliver your messages better. Maybe you're a great listener, but it's not going to show if you don't know how to talk about it. So I'm just saying, the lady on her right, her response was like, you just got to do the right thing because that's what you got to do. And it's like she repeated that about 100 times in many different ways. So she didn't really tie her own experiences as evidence, but she did give an anecdote about somebody else's experience, kind of an extreme one. But then again, this just kind of projects to people. I mean, this kind of just tells people what's going on internally with, so maybe she's a good listener, maybe she's very obedient. Anyhow.
the husband, you should, but also before you marry, make sure that that man is fully consecrated to the Lord, because the devil will always come to divide. And with so many people trying to get married young, there's also high divorce rates and things, even in the Christian community, even in the Catholic community, because of people leaning on themselves, on their own understanding of things. And that's just not the way it's ever going to work.
Do they allow divorced people in the church?
Just briefly, I just want to say, I don't like. There's a good thing and there's a bad thing about these types of interviews. The bad thing is that people feel pressured about rushing their answer in, so they're like, for some reason they feel there's like some kind of a time constraint of some sort, and that really limits the answer, doesn't it? And if these people thought they'd have a little bit more time with their answers, have a different shape, who knows? I just feel like that's obvious. That holds true for any street interviews, especially about deep topics such as this. But then you see other folks who take advantage of these interviews, and they are like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking just give it to you." Like the last person she interviewed was very articulate. He's a very young man, and I don't want to go over. You guys can watch this upload yourself. I'm sure she's not low on views or anything like that, but I just don't want to trample into the copyright territory or whatnot. But yeah, the previous person she interviewed is very articulate, and he's probably given the best answer to this question so far from any perspective, man, woman, young or old. And he took the advantage of the interview. He's just like, I don't know what the time constraints are, but I'm gonna fucking tell you how I feel. And he did a good job. So let's go ahead and let this lady finish here. Let me see. Let's try to speed things up here.
I'm not too sure about that. They are allowed, but I believe there's a difference on whether they can get married in the church or not. And these are mainly things that need to go through a special process because everyone's situation is a little different. But yes, women should obey their husband, but first and foremost, that man should be obeying Christ, because it is about submission to the Lord's will without your understanding. If there is difficulties, you pray through that, because most things are spiritual attacks.
Who decides if he's obeying Christ?
It will be in his fruit, peace, patience, kindness, temperance, goodness, self-control, all these qualities that you hold to bear fruit.
But according to who? Like, who gets to? Because I go to a lot of different churches, so if it was black and white when someone was following God, we all agree. So we all know there's some, disagreement on what the Bible teaches, what it says. So someone has to have the final say. And would you say it should be the priest, the man, the woman? Who decides if he's following God?
It would usually be all three who have to see, because we can.
There's got to be a final say.
It will ultimately be the priest, because he, in his stewardship, he is following Christ, and he knows when things are done as a servant of the Lord versus as a servant of thyself.
Okay.
So there is a distinct difference, and you will know them by their fruits. A man must be consecrated to the Lord, and a man must be in submission and willing to be a servant to his lady, to his family, just as the priests marry the church, and that is their.
So I had to assume either both of these women are single or they are in some kind of a relationship, which they're not supposed to be. I don't know how to tell if they're married at this point, but I'd have to assume they're both not married. And if they were, they're just speaking in hopes that their husband is doing all these things. But I'm not trying to be mean, but I'd have to guess that they're still single, and that maybe the one in the black dress is probably dating or pursuing or already in the relationship, and it sounds like she's trying to be preachy towards that person because she knows they're gonna watch her on the internet or something. Am I doing a big no-no right now? Okay, I don't know.
That is their wife, and they're in covenant with the Lord, and that men also, they are in covenant with God and with their wife, but to be a servant, not to be served. So being served, it's a fruit that's bare. Like,
you serve your boss though, right? And you're obedient to your boss if he tells you what to do.
I will give him correction if he's misstepping, just like anyone else. You cannot fear correcting wrongs, because
right. But at the end of the day, he's got the final say. I'll give you an example. I used to work in sales, and I thought door to door was better, and he thought phone calls were better. And I could say, hey, I suggest door to door. He said, I don't care. You're doing calls, and I can't correct him. I can give my opinion, but at the end of the day, he has the final say. So wouldn't you say that bosses have more authority than husbands?
No, because you can always quit that. You can't quit a marriage.
People quit marriages.
Yeah, and even though, there's so many instances where bosses will try to tell you things, like even you've seen it in teams where things play out, where somebody goes against that because they're following a higher calling, and things work out beautifully, and that person...
I just have to say Pearl does a great job setting these interviews up. You know, I'm not sure. The last one here, wow, that's a lengthy one here. Where were we? Oh, I'm not gonna watch all of that. Let's find something else here. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Let me see here. 30-year-old single women are exploding in numbers. Uh-oh.
I'm too young and hot to be this stressed and tired. I amassed more than 50 sexual partners in less than a year.
How do you sleep with 50 dudes? It's easy, right? They can have sex with people per day for the next 30, 40 years if they want. The sex is easy to get. When it comes to a relationship or something long term or a marriage, we hold the key to that. A lot of women are frustrated because they can get sex, but they can't get a man's commitment. They can't get dates. You'll see in this video that they're frustrated because men are not courting. We're not spending our money. Our wallets are closed. And his thing, you got to be careful with these type of women. The caption says, I have 50 sexual partners in 1 year because of my bipolar disorder, BPD. If you meet a woman and she's taking medication for BPD or for stress or anything like that, I guarantee you her body count is most likely very high because she uses sex and hooking up with different men to suppress her frustration. And this is how they handle issues in life. They just talk to another guy, have sex with a guy. It's like a drug thing.
Sexual partners in less than a year.
If a man asks you, what do you bring to the table? The infamous question. Tell him nothing. That you are a guest at his table. And that if his table is lacking, then he's not prepared to host a woman like you.
This is why men are gun dating. This is why. Men are not courting anymore. Because what do you get out of it? Like what do you get out of being a provider?
Nothing. You don't get shit.
You get what? A pat on the back? You just take it from you, receive it from you? Yes, what do you bring to the table? Because I'm not about to be fun to y'all lifestyle. And that's what women want. They want you to spend on them and break bread. And then they just sit and just take. Just like you said.
We just want a conversation. We just want a real conversation. Just like women want a real conversation. No, that can't be it. Men don't need that. Maybe we need less of that. Not really, I don't know. Who cares? 30-year-old single women are exploding in numbers as men refuse to date. Okay, that's a good title, I guess. Let me see. I clicked it, obviously.
Oh.
I cannot stand it. And what do you contribute? And what do you bring to the table? Ass motherfucker. Bitch, I am.
You heard her? She brings ASS. That's it. She brings sex. Look at this. You're like, oh my God. There are women out here like this.
Alright, I don't want to hijack the videos you found.
I genuinely don't know why I'm single. I'm cute, I'm funny, I'm actually hilarious. But like, the dating here is ass. What is going on?
Genuinely, what happened to the art of courting a woman? Way back when, there was a time.
Oh, I can't do this. This is not me. I need to find something I actually like to watch. Talk about. This is fucking... I feel like I'm cutting my brain in pieces and then putting it back together. Watching that. No thanks. I don't understand it. I'm not cool enough to be in that realm. Let's see. Restoring a rusty fuel hanger on my project car. Tank Swap Series Part 1. Okay, let's watch some of dad mode and dark mode.
Tiny salmon swimming in a stream. Tiny salmon chasing that impossible dream. All right, we sound good. All right, we got one from Trinius Henderson. And yeah, men after my own heart. You're better off staying at home. Don't go outside.
This dude's pretty cool. If you don't already follow dad mode and dark mode, just go ahead and sub to his shit, because watch his earlier stuff. See how he came about before he got to where he's at. He's a single father who had to go through the family court system to get possession of his child, and however which way they've granted it to him. He talks about it openly, I guess. He's transparent, I guess, about it. And that's just a smidgen of who he is. The rest of it is you just gotta watch his channel to figure him out, alright? So shout out to Dad Mode and Dark Mode. Here's one video here.
Don't you do it. Alright, let's get into this.
What's going on, fam, man? It's your big bro Trend. You're tuning in again to another exclusive video. I don't know if you know this. It's gonna sound really, really lame, alright? But I've come to the realization that this is very, very true, and it works like magic, okay? But if you stay at home more than you go outside, you live a better life than most people, period. I know that for a fact. Like, most people that's outside, and they always outside all the time, doing stuff, doing all these activities, going out to eat all the time, hanging with friends all the time. You live a better life than them people if you stay at home. I'm telling you, I don't know why. Yeah, I do. That's what I'm about to tell you.
All right, before he gets into that, I know why too, but it's just when I used to be that kind of person when I was in my 20s, when I was always going out, doing things and being around people, it allowed me to stay busy enough to where I didn't have to be alone with myself, right? I wasn't asking myself hard questions or working through anything. I was constantly being entertained and just hanging out with people, staying on the surface, not staying alone in the quiet long enough to just sit with my thoughts and just to sit with that silence, right? It wasn't until later. And then, of course, I talked about how I went through the process of individuation and the process of integration. And that is really, magic isn't really the word I would describe for it, or used to describe it, but when you're able to really get to know yourself and starts working through things, it does improve your life tremendously, right? You're able to really get to know who you are, right? You get to figure out, okay, these are the parts of me that I suppress to please all these people. You create this, I've talked about this, you create this Faraday cage where there's nothing that can penetrate it. It's just you and your thoughts, and you sit there, and yeah, it sucks sometimes, but you really get to hash things out and get to know who you are and what you really want, what your priorities really are. You get to just flush out all of the BS that you've been carrying with you your entire life. That's what I was doing when I was younger. I was just carrying all these things from my childhood throughout my 20s and not making the best decisions, right? I didn't really know myself. I was confused. I was depressed. My discernment was horrible. But just think about it. People that are going out, right? They're expending all their energy into other people, and they're spending money. They're constantly go, just doing all these things that at the end of the day don't really matter. Whenever I think about it, when I think about times when I go out versus times when I stay in, it's the times when I stay in that I really enjoy the most. And I can't think of a time when I've actually regretted staying in, but I have regretted going out plenty of times. And especially once I finally got out of my house, then I was roped into something, and I'm like, oh man, I really wish I hadn't committed to this, because all I want to do is just be at home, right? And I'm not saying that being at home specifically means that you're just going through this dark night of the soul and it's miserable. It's just time. A lot of times I'm just having time to myself. I'm not doing anything spectacular or profound. I'm just sitting on the couch with my dog, playing video games, watching a movie, reading. But when you're one of those individuals that's so used to going out, and then you switch up and you start staying home, right, for whatever reason, it's hard at first. That transition.
Oh, honestly, I didn't think I was going to stumble upon this topic out of all topics. I like it. Alright, somebody said going solo is a 70% pay raise. So in the absence of everyone, your mind is free to think about everything. Deeper meaning, contemplation, and isolation will give you answers that cannot be found in a crowd. Yeah, you know what? I'd have to agree with most of that sentiment. There is something that you don't see if you don't spend time in that way. And I feel like a lot of teenagers and people in their early 20s, even into their early 30s, are coddled by the family that they have access to. So they don't understand what it's like to truly have that isolation. As much as they want to try to, it might even drive them crazy, because they're probably at an age where they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I truly know what it means to be isolated or whatnot. And it's like, if you have, sometimes it has something to do with siblings, sometimes it doesn't, because you have a bunch of siblings and none of them reach out to you, or none of them you have contact with or have access to, or you might just have a handful of siblings, and going through the latter narrative would be just slightly easier given the fact you're dealing with lesser numbers in comparison to other families you might know about or whatnot. So it's like, you know, if you are in a family where there's just smaller or no siblings at all, maybe you're the eldest, you know. When you are the eldest in your family, you have access to that pathway of solitude. You just have a little bit of a head start on that, just by nature, right? Because you had that time to be alone without your other siblings' existence, you see. And just there's so many dynamics involved as far as being able to feel like you've got access to solitude. That's a whole nother issue, you know what I'm saying? Like some people will have siblings that contact them just too much, or even just too much, even a smidge for the liking, like just that person just might be picky about that type of shit. They're just like, you know, don't fucking bug me like you're my little sister, or like you're my older sister or some shit, you know, like saying, like some people actually might have that going on for them, you know what I mean? And that might be hindering them from accessing that avenue or pathway of solitude or whatnot. But I'm not gonna watch one dude watch another dude talk for fucking 30 minutes. That's kind of not my thing or my channel here, so we'll find something else here. Oh, here's one here. This man's name is Jet Franzen. He is the youngest out of everybody I've been following.
This is not going to be one of those videos where I encourage you to just quit your job, bed rot all day, as some sort of pushback or revolt against the system. You're giving them the finger. No, I'm not saying that, but I think if you're within the financial means where you can at least lower your hours or not work at all by moving back in with your parents, by doing something, I think you should do that. And then with that free time that you're given, viciously pursue something you're actually passionate about. Because here's the reality of where we sort of are in the economic sense. I think in about 5 to 7 years, give or take, we're going to see AI heavily implemented into corporate America and really all sections of the workforce that are even possible. If robots can do labor jobs, that's going to be implemented too. I think AI can already do a serious chunk or percentage of jobs. The only reason that it hasn't done that already is simply because corporate America is so slow at implementing things, and also there's the whole liability issue where, oh, if AI does something wrong, like who's to blame? So once they get that figured out and it gets a little bit better and AI has some nuance to it, it can actually analyze things in a better way, yeah, I think there's a real chance that all that stuff's going to be gone. So I think it would be a shame if you spend the next 5 to 10 years of your life working really hard at a job that you deep down hate because you're thinking that you're going to get a 401k.
Let me translate this as best as I can. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do something you'd like on the side of your main job if you got a main job. If not, or even if you do, make sure that something on your side is truly the priority.
Or whatever, at the end of it, all the benefits. I completely understand and sympathize with people where you gotta work because you gotta pay the bills. I understand that, but you need to maximize the amount of time
kind of redundant
that you are putting into creating something and getting up shots towards something that you'd be passionate about. Christopher Nolan used to shoot short films, and that's all he did for the very start of his career. He didn't have enough money, or he didn't get accepted into film school. I think it was one or the other. And so he just had to go out there and try and do things. And I know it was obviously a different world back then than it is now, and a lot of things are much more saturated now, especially in the creative fields. But think about the amount of people that they work a job that they hate, and so when they're off that job, they need to cope by some sort of vice, whether that's alcohol, whether that's video games. People have different things that they fall into, distractions. Maybe they just doom scroll. Listen, we're all guilty of.
All right. This guy's, his following is growing, snowballing and all that, but I just don't think his life experience is broad enough for me to go to him as a resource of information. That seems like the cliche of, you know, old man watching young man talk. What I like is that this dude started out in the basement and then he moved out. We saw that transition, and he is very motivated by his opinions. So his energy's there, and he chooses great topics according to how they're written. but I don't watch too much of his uploads. But I mean, that's because I'm not watching a lot of anybody's uploads anyway. But out of the amount of people I do follow, I would say, yeah, I think I'd watch his shit just as much as Dad Mode and Dark Mode. Maybe like one video a week or some shit, if I even could even finish one. Just like this, where I've only gotten 2 minutes in, and it sounds like he's talking about getting into something that can grow your interest, that drives you further away from clocking into a basic ass job or some shit like that. That's great advice, but he had 2 minutes of mine, and I just have to say, his other videos might, not be so rushy, and his opinion might not be so bold, a little easier to watch. So check him out, Jet Frenzen, subscribe to him, find him. Let me see here. I don't know, I think I'm too far away from the microphone. But here's one, by Driver's Seat Chris.
I'm at a point in my life to where I'm just, I just hate people. And the more I've become, the more misanthropic I've become.
I understand too.
Is because of my childhood. A lot of it do come back from my childhood, like a lot of things. But growing up as a kid, you're innocent. You're pure. It's like you don't know what fucking evil is. You don't know what being mistreated is. You don't know any of these things. But then the older you get, the more you see it, and it's like, damn, life is unfair. I learned at a very young age life was unfair because my mom showed me that. My mom favored my brother. My mom would pretend to be a loving mother out in public, but then in private, she was, abusive, verbally, physically, you name it. She was not who she pretended to be. And so at a young age, I'm just like, well, man, something's not right. Something is not right. And then, going from, my mom, I got put into foster care, which wasn't the worst thing, but it sucked because I got separated from my brother and my sister. But my mom she wasn't in a mental capacity to take care of 4 or 5 kids. She just wasn't. And so being taken away from her, we got taken away at 6 years old, put into little foster homes. The hardest part was being separated from my siblings. That was the hardest part at the time. But then, there was times where we would get put back together, and then I still noticed this trend with my brother. He was always favored, always. And I just couldn't figure this shit out. I'm young at the time, right? I'm like, well, why is he getting more love? Why is he getting more attention? And it just, from a young age, I just noticed like, yo, this is not fair. This is not fair. And I'm trying to do other things to get attention because I need the validation. I'm young. I'm a sponge. But at that age, seeing what he was getting, and had he not gotten it, I probably wouldn't even cared. But it was just the fact that he was getting it and I wasn't. And it was just so obvious. So, and then it got to the point to where my brother would kind of like make fun of me because I didn't get the same favor that he got. And he started to realize it. So now he's like part of the program where he's like, nah, boo boo. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? And I just had this right in my own family, right there at home at a young age. It's like, fuck people. Fuck my family, fuck people. And this is growing up just not even understanding that people could be evil or people could betray you or I thought just people were good. That's just what I thought. And, I had these thoughts forming 7, 8, excuse me. And then later, I kind of got out the foster care system and I got adopted. I got adopted at, 14, 15 years old. Ironically, my brother, he was in a home first. And, the mom at the time, which is my adopted mom now, she was like, you know what? I'm willing to take his brothers and sisters. And which is very rare. And we were kind of pushing the teenage years. We were damaged goods. A lot of people who adopt kids,
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to get this deep. That's 4 minutes in, 4:20. It's 4:20 somewhere. Driver's Seat Chris, obviously, he's very honest about his feelings and highly opinionated, just like anybody else who's on here. But I feel like a lot of people could relate to what he uploads. He's got 14,000 subscribers. Check him out. He talks about unfairness in families. He talks about imbalances within families. He talks about when bullying happens within families and favoritism, all sorts of shit, like he touches up on topics that it's just you're not gonna if you're dealing with the fuck he's talking about, you're not gonna really have anybody to listen to you if you're dealing with some shit like that. So it could be something that can help people grow from their situation, maybe help them find a pathway out of the struggle that they're dealing with. So channels like this, they might be new right now, they might be small right now, but I'm telling you, these folks are like the future, man. Like, they're coming out, they're talking about how they feel. It's really not, they're trying their best not to be offensive. They're trying their best to show that what they're sharing is from personal experience. And how could you be offended unless you're truly part of their story in some way, right? But they are affected in such a way that they have a need to share these anecdotes to further reach the world in order to validate or invalidate people's opinions on these things. He's trying to make a difference in the world for folks who are struggling in the position that he's talking about, like being in the position that he talks about a lot, So I appreciate Driver's Seat Chris's channel. Shout out to Driver's Seat Chris. I think we're gonna come across somebody else here. If I'm guessing the algorithm is doing a good job here, they're gonna just shoot me everybody that I've been following and whatnot. Let me see here. 6 months ago. Oh, we're finding lots of things we could watch now. Let me see here. Let me see here. It only takes 2 weeks. I don't know that guy also would say something. People don't know how to talk anymore.
I seriously didn't want to feed into this. I didn't want to feed into his narrative. I didn't want to do it. But there is seriously something wrong with communication and people nowadays. I'm not just talking about in relationships. This is a worldwide issue with humans right now. Like, there is no reason why I should have spent a whole semester with somebody in college, and we come back the next semester, and it's as if we didn't do anything last semester and we don't even know each other. Like, there was this one girl I was speaking to, and it wasn't even like that. I promise you it wasn't like that. We was literally just friends. People thought we were best friends, right? Bro, I come back this semester, I see her in the hallway. First of all, the girl was about to walk past me like she didn't even know me, right? Looked at me and everything, and then looked away and kept walking. I said, I'm not gonna say her name. I said, yo, you act like you don't know nobody now? She said, oh, hey, what's up? I was like, what's going on? How's your summer doing? I'm not summer. How's the break going? How's everything good for you? She said, oh, good. I was like, that's good. Everything good with you? She's like, yeah, more or less. What the fuck? Like, can we... Oh my God, is this that difficult to just like give an actual detailed response? Not understand, some people aren't in the mood to speak all the time. Right, me too. But that was the first interaction. There was no other interaction. Because every time I see her after that, she didn't say anything. And it's like, okay, it's getting to the point where it's like, I thought that was just one person. Then I got this next guy in my class, right? And this is ongoing right now. This guy sees me warming up my food at a microwave inside the lecture.
It sounds like she followed him on social media somewhere and got too much of his opinion, or saw too much of what he liked, and she did not like his shit no more. She no longer wanted to pursue him even as a friend. That's too much assumption, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know, he didn't give enough information there, so...
Lunch area or whatever, right? Walked straight by me, didn't say anything. First of all, I didn't see him until he passed me. Then I'm like, he had to see. He walked straight past me, didn't say shit. I see this guy getting outside, as he's leaving with his food this time. He's walking out the door, as I'm walking outside too, he's walking outside. He sees me, he looks at me, doesn't say anything. I say, yo, bro, what's going on, man? He's like, oh, shit, what's up, bro? I didn't see you there. You walked past me 2 times, what? Like, yo, people be dead coming up with the most BS excuses in the entire world. And this other guy I was talking to, I'm literally sitting there talking to bro, right? I swear, yo, y'all won't believe this, bro. People really do this. Like, it's more common than you think. I'm sitting there talking to this one guy, right? And you can tell, like, something's off about his demeanor. Like, something's just off about him. I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden the conversation cuts me off. He's like, hold on, bro, hold on, I'm getting a call, hold up. This dumbass didn't even realize his phone speaker was down here, and the bottom phone speaker was up here. The dumbass answered the phone the wrong way. So I'm sitting there just looking at him, and I'm in my head like, yo, I can see the home screen. You're not on the phone with anybody. He's like, yeah, hello? Yeah, all right, I'm coming right now. What the fuck? Like, you're not on the phone with anybody. You can see the home screen apps right there. There's no green button in the corner. There's nothing. Guys, what are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing?
Alright, you know what? I have to. This young man is asking questions. I guess I have to say something to help him. Fuck, dude. Who cares about them, dude? Don't keep this video up and don't let the rest of it fucking phase you at all, dude. There's too many people in this world. You're only one conversation in it. You can't have more than one conversation, bro. So it's like, just don't put that pressure outwardly, and you won't, no matter how much the world wants to put pressure on you in that same way, you won't be able to be affected in such a way. So don't even trip, dude. You're gonna have those conversations. They're gonna come, and what's it called? It's like I said, you can only have them with one person at a time anyway. So it's just, you know, when people don't have the capacity to hear you, even in the smallest amount, like such as a greeting, it can be frustrating. But you gotta grow out of that, honestly. I don't have anything else to say about that matter. I'm sure this is a fine young man. He probably has great values and things in life. And that's why he wants to share these conversations with these people he comes across. So I can see why that's frustrating. Alright, let's get to the next one.
I hope y'all do well. It's Tony. Today's topic is how living in my car helped me retire early. Because
what?
Living in a car, you don't have to worry about paying rent anymore. Because right now, it's so expensive. It's going to be around $1,500 to $2,000 or more, especially if you live in the big city. And also, when you're paying rent, you still have to pay for utility, like gas, electric, and water bill, and trash bill. Plus, you gotta like go to work and make at least about 50 to 60 hours a week to pay rent and even to have some extra money to spend. And that's a lot of work, especially when you live on minimum wage. And not everybody can live on minimum wage, especially in the big city, okay? Unless you're making about $80,000 to over $150,000 a year to consider okay living survival. You know, especially when your rent is $1,500 to $2,500 a month. But if you work at a minimum wage job below $20, it's gonna be tight. That's why a lot of people, they have extra job, okay, to pay their bill and to have a little bit of money saved up. You know, and I don't want to live that way. Okay, I've been in LA for 30 plus years, and I've been working for 30 plus years, and it's a tough life. You know what I mean? You work to pay rent, and that's not the way to live, especially when you're in your 50s. Because right now I'm in my 50s, right? I'm 52 years old, and I just don't want to do it anymore. So I'd rather retire early and live in my car. You know what I mean? Instead of paying rent and making my landlord rich. Okay? And even if you have a good job and you get to, like, buy a house, you still have to pay for the mortgage, right? And once you pay house off, you still have to pay for property taxes and utility bill, trash bill, repair bill, or whatever bill you have to pay, okay? So basically, you don't own the house, okay? And you still have to work, no matter what happens.
This is great advice. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? ES408SJ, how you doing? He says, no, hi. My microphone's not working. Oh, was my microphone off all this time? Oh my god. Thank you, ES408SJ. I feel like a fool. All I had to do was click. Was my microphone off before this? Was it? It's working. Thank you, dude. ES408SJ, thank you. Man, what's was it on? Was it working before? I was checking. Oh, I'm tripping out. Alright, let me see here. So, yeah, you know, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and your name is on PG&E, I mean, your electricity, your utilities, and shoot, you know, if you're, I can see how transitioning to your car will save you a shit ton of money. But obviously, this isn't the most ideal move for certain folks. You know, you might be living in Chicago or some shit, or it's just one of those cities and shit, or, you know, like, and it's just probably not a good idea to be in your car all day. And honestly, sitting in your car is so fucking bad for your body. It's bad for your back, dude. I hope he's laying down in there instead of sitting all the time. Sitting in your car is so bad. So bad.
First off, just to get the video started, here's $10,000 for you guys. Just to show you guys the proof. And if you believe that saving 10K without a high-paying job is impossible, you're wrong. And that's why in today's video, I'm bringing back our first viral video of how to save your first $10,000. But today, we throwing a twist on it. Because today we're showing you how to save $10,000 without a high-paying job. Because I know me personally, I don't make a lot of money. I only make $18 an hour. But we just went on a 90-day run, and I did it again just to show you guys how to save $10,000. So further ado, what's good, YouTube, y'all? Welcome back to the channel.
Oh man.
So many women have completely lost their minds.
$10,000 is a lot of money, and how to get there, there's kind of, you know, there's so many ways to get there. You know, you could sell lemonade, you could sell paintings, probably faster. There's so many things you can do. You could wash cars, which, you know, could eventually turn into a detailing gig if you're good at it. And Lily, you're having a bad dream, girl. Silly girl. So this one's this lady's channel is called It's God's Plan. She's very awesome lady.
They've gone from seeking equal rights with men to feeling so superior that their husband's needs are rarely even considered. These women feel like their men should love, support, and sacrifice for her so she can live her best life as an independent woman. What the heck? I know that sounds crazy. These women want to have a man for all the wonderful things.
Oh, dude. I always fucking say that independent woman line, that phrase, independent woman. I fucking say that shit too much, you know. Why would you need to act that way? Because it's been working. I just know when you said I am public. It's been working. I just know when you said am I public. Oh, is this upload public? I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, so women, what is she talking about?
Income, emotional stability, kids, physical protection, you know, the very things they wish they could do for themselves, but can't. So on some level, they are looking at it like this. If I can get a solid man, he will take care of so many things that cause me distress and hold me back from living my best life. Like housing costs, health insurance premiums, weird noises at night, landscaping, issues with the neighbors or the HOA, you know, all the pesky life things that unfairly hold single women back. Now, as the man is busy fighting the world to do the best he can do for the marriage, it flies under his radar that she's fighting the best she can do for herself. It's like this.
One for you and one for me. Two for you and one, two for me.
Her selfish choices start off too small to notice, but grow over time until she's giving him very little of what he should reasonably expect, because she's focusing more and more on herself. It's like the stability he offers is a launching pad.
If you didn't get that reference and you've only seen Bugs Bunny do that, well, look that shit up.
For her personal journey, rather than a shared foundation of love and trust for them to both grow closer together. Since men have always been taught to be responsible and keep their word, it never occurs to this man that as he covers their shared responsibilities with his resources, which require almost no energy from her, she decides that she is free to use her time and her resources to go out and follow her dreams without giving any thought to how this impacts him or their marriage. Makes sense, doesn't it? Of course it does, to woman logic. I mean, he courted her and is in love with her, so he's getting everything he wants, right? If he is happily doing his part, as if the marriage is built on being equally yoked, and she is acting like a superstar diva wide receiver, how is she supposed to know there's an issue?
So that is it's God's plan. She points things out like that. I mean, if you're a dude watching that part, you're probably like, dude, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, but if you're a dude watching that and you're with a woman and you're dealing with some problems, you're probably like, whoa, like, I don't know, do all situations seem so similar? Yeah, she talks about those types of issues. If you don't know her channel, it's called It's God's Plan. Check out her channel. She's awesome. So I'd like to be more personable and tell you my opinion about some of these issues and some of these matters, but I have to say they're kind of deep, and I really haven't reflected on it enough to say much of anything other than I slightly agree already with what these folks are saying for themselves about these topics they're choosing to talk about. And that's what makes them likable, isn't it? Is there room for your opinion? There definitely is, because YouTube has recently offered private messaging here on YouTube. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to upload on YouTube because of this, or not yet, or because of that, well, how many people do you think who are not fucking considering uploading on YouTube knows that YouTube now has private messaging? You can private message each other here on YouTube. It's a big fucking deal. Take advantage of that shit. You heard it here first here on Defnu. Shout out to ES408SJ. Subscribe to ES408SJ. He says, I like what this lady has to say. It's been, oh yeah, dude, she's awesome, man. We need more people to help out the men in these relationships, because without that kind of help, all he has is his drinking buddies and his co-workers to work off of, and they're assholes. They're worse than these internet people. So I'm glad that men and women have access to this information. You know, it only makes relationships better. It only helps people grow faster, and it only makes the world a better place just slightly, because if that's not what's here on YouTube, what else are we watching, you know? Anyway, thank you for stopping by. If there's a topic or a story you want me to talk about or share, if you want an interview, hit me up in the private messages. If you're tired of AI bullshit and you need some real editing skills, hit me up. I'm available. I do some real trick type of editing. If you want to give me a try, I'm affordable, but I'm not a hoe. Respect my time and I'll give you something beautiful in return. So if you need something edited, hit me up. Alright, take it easy. See you later.